Okay, we've almost got as much as we want to do before we do any processing on the actual data itself. But what I would like to do is, instead of just having that message, if we can go back to this activity main, instead of having the JSON text will appear here, that we can actually put something on from our post execute method, which has been passed from the background application. So what I'm going to do is attempt to write that now. We've got one or two problems, and the first one is this. Because it's in activity main as text view here, put that back up there. Because it's in here, text view, I want to be able to link to it. Remember, we put an ID on here so that I could link to text, JSON text. So I have to specify that again in my main thread. Okay, otherwise it's not going to work. The programs are not going to know that actual text view or text box exists. So if you remember how we did it here, button activate data, we're going to have to do the same sort of thing for the text view. So it is a text view, that's its type. I can give it any name I want. Notice that at the moment it's saying Android.widget.textView and it's given me in red. It doesn't know what it is. That's because we haven't imported it up here. But it should import itself later. If it doesn't, then we're going to have to just do import Android.widget.textView. But let's finish it off from here and see what happens. So I've got a text view. I'll give it a name. I'm going to call it JSON text. Okay, and I'm going to set that equal to, it's a text view. And now we're going to do exactly the same thing here. We're going to do find view by ID. And then in the R file, in the ID section, we want to have the text, JSON text, and finish off the semicolon. Now notice it still stayed red. It hasn't resolved it to a symbol. In other words, it hasn't imported the library. If I click on it, if I click on the little red thing, sometimes you end up with the button at the side, the little red error message. It's not happening here. So this is going to be a case of actually typing it in. Import Android.widget.textView, and that should cure my problem. There you go, it's all gone black, so that's fine. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to have a few problems, and the problem is this, and probably why we had the red message as well. That only exists in this program. Okay, it does not, because of scoping rules. Hopefully you've read about scoping. It's not available in here. It can't see it. It doesn't know anything about it, and we actually want to use it. So I want to have a line of text in here instead of the log D. I want to have a line of text such as JSON text dot set text, which is the function to actually put the writing in the box, and the writing that I'd want to put in the box is the result. That is what was passed in. It's going to go in there. It's going to set the text on that text label, but that's red, and the reason why that's red is because it cannot be seen. Okay, we've declared it in there, it's not declared in here. So I'm going to have to sort of make it global. In other words, take it out of here and put it above the main thread here so that it can be seen by both these. So the way to do that is, well, I'm just going to copy it. You don't need to. Copy that and just paste it in there. Didn't paste. There we go. Notice the minute I did that, it can now see it, and this has ceased to be read. Okay, but I need to finish it off with the semicolon, and because I've declared it as a text view here, I do not need to have what type it is here. I can take that type out now because it knows what type it is, and there we go. That's the job done. So that's the correct code for writing information into that text box. So we're going to just put whatever the result is into that text box on the screen. However, we haven't yet got anything to write on the screen. So just to prove that this return value works, I'm going to type in a string. This is some JSON text. Okay, if you remember in the actual item it was called JSON text will appear here, and now I've changed that for this is some JSON text, but that is in the do in the background. So when this program runs from execute, runs this program, this does it in the background. As I've said, waits until it's asynchronous, so it's going to wait until something happens. Nothing happens at the moment, so it's just going to take this string, it's going to return it as a string, and where it's going to end up is in on post execute. Once we finish the execute, it's going to end up, there's the string, and that's what the string is called, result. We're going to take that result, which should be this is some JSON text, and we're going to set the text on the text field, and hopefully we will see our message appear every time we press enter. This time we're not using log. Every time we use log, we only use this area down here. Now we can minimize that, okay, or we can see the event log by pressing on these buttons here. I should have mentioned that earlier. Perhaps you haven't seen that. It should appear if you've got mistakes anyway. But this is the way to minimize it. I'm going to minimize it. Okay, and I'm going to run the program. This time, this is only going to appear on the screen. We're going to get nothing in the event log. I'll open up that later. So let's run the program. Fingers crossed. It says it's installing the APK. The APK is the program with all the bits and pieces, all these files, all packaged up. So that PK stands for a package, the A stands for Android, an Android package. So everything gets packaged up, and then that's the thing that you download to your phone when you're going on the Google Play Store or downloading it from a site. So here we go. I've got my button, press, we know what's going to happen. Hopefully this JSON text here is going to be replaced with this is some JSON text. And there we go. So that is showing you how the background is working, how the post execute is the mechanism by which we're going to show the information on the screen, and it's the reason also why we don't return anything. Nothing is returned to the main program. All we do is execute this program, and this program does all the work. Okay, this program is only there to execute this. Oh, before we go, let's take a look at the event log. If we take a look at the side here, we've got lots of different buttons that we can press. At the moment, we're just taking a look at the time and when the Gradle started. We can look at the different items, going through them. Scroll to the end, tasks, build variants, console, and that is the console that we were looking at earlier. Okay, so taking a look at these items, going around, we can get different views of what's happening. So I'm going to finish it there, and the next set of videos we are going to work on, let's minimize these again, The next set of items that we're going to work on basically is actually finding something to return, going to fetch the data and then returning it back to here. We've still got some work to do inside this function as well, but that roughly will be all the work we need to do to read the PHP file.